For anime fans, there are very few words that bring up feelings of disappointment and dissatisfaction as much as the word hiatus does. It's a term that's been used to communicate viewers' hopelessness and prolonged anticipation, much like for the fans of the beloved manga series Hunter x Hunter. This video dives into the puzzling journey of its creator Yoshihiro Togashi, whose mysterious disappearance and reappearance have become a major event for the fans in their own right. Hiatus pertains to the lasting legacy of Hunter x Hunter, a series that's caught the hearts of millions with its fascinating plotline, deep character development, and unmatched world building. Despite all of these characteristics, the series has left its fans in an endless state of waiting, all because of its repeated breaks. Each return is met with a rush of excitement by its fans, only to be followed by another hiatus, a cycle that's been going on for years now. Yoshihiro Togashi is the central figure of this documentary, a brilliant writer whose personal struggles and health issues have majorly affected his work. We'll walk through the highs and lows of his career, starting from his early success of Yu Yu Hakusho all the way to the creation of Hunter x Hunter, including the significant challenges that have impacted him throughout his life. Chapter 1: The Roots of Creativity. Yoshihiro Togashi, one of the biggest mangakas, began drawing at a very young age. He started drawing in his first to second year of elementary school. His interest in manga was rooted in the early days of his childhood, soon after molding his path in life. Togashi belongs to a family that owns a paper shop in Shinjo. Having a close connection with paper also led to an increase in his engagement with his hobby. Since his family were geared towards a paper shop, that sparked an interest that turned him into a legend. Togashi joined the Fine Arts Club. During his high school days, baseball was a very famous sport, and although there's no indication that he was ever on the school team, he was surely very interested in this sport. This is why we see baseball influences in much of his writing, like Level E and Hunter x Hunter. Togashi also seems to be very fond of board-style video games. He also loved to go bowling with his family. This shows that he's a sports and video games enthusiast, as these two themes have been recurring in his two major hits as well. He later studied at Yamagata University, where he undertook a degree in education while dreaming of becoming a teacher. His family details are kept private because the Japanese hold a lot of respect for the privacy of public figures, but it is well known that he has a younger brother named Hideaki who's also a mangaka. Although he's written his own manga, he didn't become a well-known author. When Togashi was just 20, he stepped into the challenging manga publishing world. This is when he started submitting short stories and his manga work to Weekly Young Jump. In 1986, he created a successful manga known as Butobi Straight, which attained him the Tezuka Award, one of the highest honors that a new manga artist can achieve in Japan. When his career initiated, Togashi's work mostly consisted of similar plot and story development, all of which were geared towards teenage life. The MCs of his work consisted of young men who were overcoming some of the most vicious challenges using their abilities and winning against angry villains. Togashi loves the supernatural and horror genres, and he loves watching zombie and ghost movies. Some of his favorites include Joyurei and Dawn of the Dead. In 1988, after graduating college, Togashi gave up on his goal of becoming a teacher and instead planned to continue working on his manga talent. Around this time, an editor from Weekly Shonen Jump contacted him and convinced him to move to Tokyo to become a full-time writer for the esteemed magazine. Togashi accepted this offer and for the next 2 years contributed numerous short stories for this magazine. Most manga in Japan are published in more popular magazines. Then if the manga catches a lot of popularity, it's adapted into a series, then a tankobon and a graphics novel. Chapter 2: Commencement in Profession. In 1988, Togashi's professional career began under Shueisha. His earliest works include Okami Nante Kawakunai, consisting of 5 short story comedies. By this time, some of his other stories had garnered enough attention to receive a tankobon adaptation. From 1987 to 1990, Togashi worked on his first ever full series named An Ill-Tempered Cupid in Heaven. Its story revolved around a young boy befriending a pretty devil girl. After this series came to an end, Togashi started working on his first first hit show, which you know as Yu Yu Hakusho. Togashi's art style underwent significant changes in a span of just a couple of years. His earliest works like Okami Nante Kawakunai and Butobi Straight were drawn on a very personal design basis. They all matched a standard manga design with characters having round heads, large eyes, and thoroughly detailed surroundings. During his era, using grey shades and outlining characters with black was the trend. This particular style was very common amongst manga artists in the early 70s and 80s. Some of the greatest manga artists like Kazushi Hagiwara and Yoichi Takahashi also incorporated this style in their artworks. In the late 1990s, Yu Yu Hakusho began its serialization in the weekly Shonen Jump, and it quickly became one of the most popular series. This story was largely inspired by Togashi's interest in the occult and horror films. It's about a young man named Yusuke who dies unexpectedly and is taken to a realm known as the Underworld. There he's given the job of a detective. His work is to investigate the interactions of ghosts and demons in the human world. The series ran for 4 years, during which Yusuke had a lot of interesting adventures. It didn't lose popularity throughout this period, and the writing managed to stay immaculate. One of the major things for Yu Yu Hakusho is the fight scenes that happen every other chapter. The character developments and engaging plot lines really keep the readers coming back for more. One interesting aspect of his writing is that he likes to include himself in his own writing from time to time. For example, in volume 6 of Yu Yu Hakusho, he teaches the reader a game called Dice Roshan Boxing, which is a game he invented while he was in school, and he was seamlessly able to insert it into his series. Yu Yu Hakusho was published every single week in Weekly Shonen Jump magazine from 1990 to 1994, having reached over 19 tankobon volumes and 175 manga chapters up to its last year. In Japan, it sold approximately 44 million copies and 78 million copies worldwide. In 1994, Togashi received the Shogakukan Manga Award, one of Japan's major manga awards. During this time, he also received the news of his first ever anime adaptation. His reaction to this was interesting, as he got very shy when he first heard this news. Studio Pierrot took on the production of Yu Yu Hakusho in 1992, and the anime ran for a total of 112 episodes and 2 movies. Regardless of very few chapters being adapted into the anime and the character scenes being modified, the anime still managed to obtain a great cult of anime fans across the world. Now, this is where some of Togashi's problems start to root. Yu Yu Hakusho is a very loved series, but despite its popularity, the abrupt ending that it received from Togashi is something that's been taken as a controversial take by its fans. You see, Togashi initially wanted to finish Yu Yu Hakusho after the chapter Black Saga, but he was pressured to continue it by his production company due to the popularity of the series. Togashi decided to abruptly end Yu Yu Hakusho because he was so unhealthy from being overworked that he felt nauseated every time he sat down to draw. After the end of Yu Yu Hakusho in 1995, Togashi started working on another series named Level E, a light-hearted sci-fi comedy story about an alien who crash lands on Earth. The alien starts living with a college student named Yukitaka. The alien named Prince doesn't have any ulterior motives, and he just wants to make peace with everyone. The emphasis in this story is on small-town relationships and customs, but what's interesting to note is the town they live in is modeled after Togashi's hometown of Shinjo. There was a lot of misunderstanding in titling the series, as Togashi thought that extraterrestrial was the exact English word for alien, hence the E in the title. The series ran for a total of 3 manga volumes. It wasn't a very long-running series, but it still took Togashi 3 years to finish up, from 1995 through to 1997. This series would later receive an anime adaptation in 2011. Chapter 3: Inception of Imagination. In August of 1997, Kazushi Hagiwara, a fellow manga artist of Togashi, invited him to a party. Kazushi is best known for his work Bastard. The party was mostly attended by a who's who of the Shonen Jump mangas and the employees of the publisher. It was during this event that Togashi was able to meet his future wife Naoki Takeuchi, a fellow author and creator of the highly successful series Sailor Moon. This news wasn't revealed until the moment when both of them got together. As it's known, many Japanese artists keep their personal lives very private, and Togashi is one of them. They rarely reveal info about their family or even their goals and desires. This is why the announcement of their marriage was more so shocking and notable for everyone, as no one really expected it to come. On January the 6th, 1996, the couple announced their upcoming wedding by appearing at the convention with limited edition postcards officially commemorating their upcoming marriage. This is when the news hit the media. These limited edition collectibles were quickly snatched up by manga fans and collectors in Japan. This is all knowing the fame and wealth both the artists possess in the industry. Finally, in 1998, we marked the debut of his other remarkable series, Hunter x Hunter. This proved that Togashi wasn't a one-hit wonder, but a real talent. The action-adventure tale Hunter x Hunter premiered on March the 16th in the Shonen Jump manga, and needless to say, it was an instant hit. Hunter x Hunter is a story that revolves around a young boy named Gon Freaks, who sets out to search for his father, a renowned top-tier member of a society known as Hunter. Gon must first undergo extreme challenges to pass the licensing exam and become a hunter, then he's teamed up with other hunters in a series of adventures. It's important to highlight that this is the first series where Togashi more profoundly focuses on how ideas like optimism and empathy reflect and affect the individual characters, because in his other stories he focuses less on individual characters and more on a grand scale of things. For example, in Yu Yu Hakusho, the story is majorly focused on overcoming the dark side of humans and demons, while in Level E, it continuously suggests that coexisting with aliens is more than possible and understanding should be established between the two different species. Hunter x Hunter isn't a very revolutionary anime as people might take it to be, but it's also not as typical as you might think. Many things differentiate it from other series. Empathy and optimism are just two of Togashi's many themes that fit throughout his entire body of work. The series began serialization in 1998 and is still ongoing, albeit with hiatuses. It's performed very well, as since June 2007 the series has sold 37 million copies in Japan only. Many would argue that the mid to late 90s was Shonen Jump magazine's golden age. They were sitting on 3 huge properties, all of which were being prepared for the full anime treatment. Those were Naruto, One Piece, and Hunter x Hunter. It's a very little known fact, but Togashi is good friends with Kishimoto as well, and if you haven't noticed, Togashi has referenced Naruto multiple times throughout the Hunter x Hunter manga. On October the 16th, 1999, Hunter x Hunter anime first debuted. It was adapted by Nippon Animation and ran for a total of 62 episodes. After that, in January 2001, Naoki and Togashi welcomed their first son. Later, in December 2008, they also had their second child. The name and gender of both of their children have been kept private for personal reasons. Studio Madhouse rebooted the Hunter x Hunter anime in 2011, taking a fresh start from the beginning and committing to staying faithful to the manga. On October the 2nd, 2011, the new anime debuted in Japan. It also simultaneously aired for all the fans around the world, so they could also once more savor the beloved story. The reboot had a total of 148 episodes and was still waiting for a continuation. Togashi also has an X, formerly known as Twitter, account that was verified by Shueisha. He's one of the most followed manga artists on the platform with over 3 million followers. He gained over 1 million followers on the day of his account creation, and the number rose to 2 million in just a span of 3 days. Chapter 4: Seeds of Discord. It's been more than 500 days since Hunter x Hunter went on hiatus again. Rather than Togashi informing us that he's resuming work on the series, his updates have all been that he's been working on it for some time only. Since the period of the hiatus began, he's only managed to finish 4 chapters. He'd say that Weekly Shonen Jump would have dropped him by now, but keeping respect to his individuality, Shonen Jump has also moved Hunter x Hunter to a new format which is more suitable for Togashi's health and workflow. All of his recent updates on X have caused a lot of stir in the Hunter x Hunter community, especially the recent one which said, "Start over." He also stated, "Although the production system hasn't been finalized yet, I'm happy that the time spent working at my desk has been gradually increasing." Togashi has been suffering from recurring back problems for years. This has led to several hiatuses spanning multiple years. Due to these issues, he's only able to draw occasionally, and that's only when he's lying down. The Hunter x Hunter's manga delays are mainly because of Togashi's health issues, so therefore, to cover for himself, he's prepared multiple endings, one of which is to be used if he dies before finishing the story. These delays in Hunter x Hunter manga completing its story were also due to various causes. One of the reasons was Togashi's deteriorating health issues, but that's where he's done something that's quite sad. You see, Togashi has already prepared many endings for his long-running series, so if by chance he passes away...
Shut up, God forbid, God forbid.
the manga will still have his legacy. Despite describing the immense pain that he feels when drawing the chapters, Togashi also dreams of finishing his manga by himself. This is because at the end of the day, Hunter x Hunter is his own masterpiece that he holds closest to his heart. He resumed his work at the end of 2022 after facing more than 4 years of straight hiatus, but then again, Gon was enveloped in a deep and profoundly painful silence. Fearing for his health, which prevents him from drawing, Togashi decided to share that he'd written 3 different endings and saved them in case he couldn't end the manga himself. He approached the ending saying, "Fundamentally, I want to think to the utmost extent about an ending to the point where I might not choose any of these 3 and create what I find most enjoyable, which is my ideal and goal." One of the most endearing questions that fans have previously asked Togashi is, why doesn't he let someone else draw his manga for him? However, these fans just don't realise that that's quite an insensitive thing to say to an artist. Hunter x Hunter is his own masterpiece, and for an author and illustrator, drawing their own manga is what they would want. Wanting the author to simply give his story to someone else to draw isn't only selfish, but also disrespectful. Togashi wishes to conclude his manga on his own, and that will always be the case. Similarly, every manga artist desires to finish their story by themselves, not hand it off to someone else, as it's their production of dedication. An interesting detail that Togashi has revealed about his work is if the story and plotlines were completely up to him, the show would have been strikingly different from what the fans love and cherish. It seems like Togashi has a completely different vision of how he would take the first arc, the Hunter exam, forward, but this progression was stopped by his publisher. During an interview with Asahi Iwakura on Yoshizumi Show, Togashi announced that he wanted to take a completely different direction for the Hunter exam arc, but his editor rejected the idea. He actually wanted Gon to fail the Hunter exams on his first try. This failure would be followed by a time skip ranging multiple years where an adult Gon would once again be trying out for the Hunter license exam. Although the time skip would have been a good idea, it would have changed the theme of the story, as the entertaining kid we love to see wouldn't be getting as much screen time. As to say, Hunter x Hunter's appeal was Gon's journey as a character and his dynamic with his best friend and party. So in this case, the editor's input was actually valid, as it gave the series the charm it deserved. Editors play an important role in the manga and anime industry. They ensure that the series goes in the direction the companies want it to, keeping in respect with, of course, the author's wishes and also the fans. That's why the editor's input in Hunter x Hunter plays a vital role, as the Hunter exams arc really contributed to making the series famous. Chapter 5: The End of an Enigmatic Legacy. In a message to the fans, Togashi revealed that he's actually planned 3 different endings for the series already. According to him, each end has a different satisfaction and dissatisfaction rate. Ending A has about an 80% satisfaction rate. He says further that this ending would work around in such a way that the majority of the fans will end up liking it, but a small percentage might disagree with it for some reason. Ending B will be a similar case scenario, with there being more satisfied fans than dissatisfied, while ending C says it's going to be different and interesting. It will probably have a 90% dissatisfaction rate, but Togashi is still keeping it as an option because it's his preferred ending for the series. He also mentioned that this ending is temporary and it might change if he finds the time to complete the series himself. However, he also made sure to tell us that we can consider it a valid ending in case the worst comes to worst. Lastly, he said, to give you a clearer picture, I'll share scenario D, which fell out of the candidate scenarios for the ending. If fate takes me before finishing the manga, consider it the manga's ending. I'd be happy if you forgive me for that. Scenario D can be found over the internet, telling a story about a little girl sitting beside a lake. The story ends in an ambiguous way, not giving an inch of spoiler about what happened to our main characters, but is speculated that the characters in this final scene are somehow related to them. His life and career have been shaped by Hunter x Hunter, just as much as the series has shaped his legacy. His health struggles and the pressures of the industry have led to his bad health, but these challenges have also made him a unique talent worth respecting. We all hold on to the hope that Togashi will hopefully find the strength and inspiration to bring Hunter x Hunter to its long-awaited end. Until then, we remain grateful for the journey he's taken us on while celebrating the mark he left on the world of manga. That's it for this documentary. Togashi is a great artist and I love his work. Even though he might look lazy and lethargic, he's a man working as a sole unit. Despite the frustration of countless hiatuses, his work continues to be a source of inspiration and admiration for fans around the world. Yoshihiro Togashi is a rare and remarkable talent, and we eagerly await the day this masterpiece reaches its final chapter.